Hi everyone, it's Micca Evans and I am here on day 3 of our detox to show you how to make homemade coconut yogurt. So this is something that you can make during the detox, after the detox, something you can put in your protein shakes, something you can put in, you can just eat it with some berries and maybe sprinkle some seeds or something over it. It's pennies to make versus buying it, and truthfully most of the store-bought coconut yogurt has a lot of additives, so this just eliminates that. I'm going to first of all kind of get started because it's got to heat up a little bit and then I can tell you a little bit more about it. But I'm going to use 2 cans of coconut milk, so I'm just going to put those in and grab my little spatula here, get all the coconut milk in there. And while I'm doing that, I am going to turn this on. I'm using an Instapot. So I'm going to hit the yogurt function. I only know how to do it specifically in this Instapot with a yogurt function. There are other ways to make it, but in the Instapot you have to use the yogurt function. I'm going to turn that off again and hit a yogurt and then the adjust button, and I'm going to go until it says boil. So then I'm going to quickly get the rest of my ingredients in here. 2 cans of coconut milk, and then a small can of coconut cream. Just getting all that in here. I've got a small can of coconut cream, and then 1/4 of a cup of maple syrup, real maple syrup. So I'm going to put that in here now, and I'm going to let this warm up. So it's on the boil function, which will do just that. We are just trying to get it up to 110 degrees approximately, anywhere from even at 100, probably at 90 or 95, I'll turn it off. It will only take 2 minutes about. So I have these ingredients in here. It's on the boil function, and then I'm going to start whisking it. You will need a whisk, your Instapot, and a little thermometer. I have a little, I use this for meat or whatever, and I will kind of start checking the temperature here shortly. And I'm just whisking those ingredients in because there's some cream in there that's kind of thick. So I'm just incorporating all those ingredients, and we'll see if you can see here. I'm just giving it a little whisk. The maple syrup will get eaten by the yogurt starter, so don't be concerned that there's going to be a lot of sugar in there, because that's food for the starter, and it doesn't have the sugar in it naturally, the coconut milk, like a cow's milk does. So cow's milk, you don't have to use that sweetener, but you need some type of a sweetener. I use maple syrup. Honey is not a good option for making yogurt because it has its own bacteria which will compete with the starter for the yogurt. So I've got my little digital thermometer here, and I'm just going to see. It's already at 80 degrees, 81. So I'm just going to keep whisking it. You don't have to whisk it the whole time, but I feel like it kind of keeps it evenly heating there. And then it's already up to 83, so I'm just going to try to catch it right a little over 90 degrees, because our goal is to get it to 107 or around there. We don't want it to get higher than 110, and our goal is just to get it warm enough to dissolve some gelatin if we would like to put gelatin in it. You don't have to. If you don't have any gelatin, you don't have to use it. It just makes it thicker, makes it a little bit more like the store-bought that we're probably used to. If you were just going to use it in your smoothies, in your shakes, in your protein shakes, then there's no need for it. You don't really need it because you're just going to pour it into your smoothie and it's going to blend up in there or shake it up in there. Let's see here. I'm at 87, 90. I'm just going to hit off. I just turned off the cancel. I just hit the cancel button. Sometimes you have to take it out because it starts getting too hot, and that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna take it out and let it sit out away from the heat so it's not getting too hot too fast. I really, just to save time, I don't want it to get over 110, just so the process goes faster, basically. I will post a recipe down below. The difference is they take it up to 180 degrees, and you don't have to. With the coconut milk, it's pasteurized. It's basically ready to go. It's not gonna cause any problems. So right now it's at 99. So, and now 100, 101. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 2 teaspoons of gelatin. We like it a little bit thicker. We eat it with berries and kind of like you would store-bought. So I've got it at 101 degrees. I forgot my teaspoon. So I am going to take 2 teaspoons of gelatin. You want a good quality beef. Beef is probably the best. They've also got pork, but beef is a little bit cleaner, and try to get grass-fed. And another option, if you want to go strictly vegan, and I'm not sure how to say it, agar, agar, it is a thickener for vegan cooking. So it's just a vegan thickener, but the gelatin works, and I use it for other things too, so, but mostly yogurt. So I'm going to put 2 teaspoons in here, and I'm just going to whisk it in. So I'm just going to kind of sprinkle it around the top so it doesn't get too clumpy. And I've got 1 teaspoon in there. I'm going to whisk that in. And then I'm going to whisk 1 more teaspoon. You can play around with the thickener. If you want to use thickener, you can do a teaspoon. You can try a teaspoon and a half. You can try 2 teaspoons if you want it a little bit thicker. My last batch wasn't, I did 2 teaspoons and it was still a little bit pourable. So that's just kind of the way that batch went. Sometimes it's different because we're fermenting and maybe temperatures are a little bit different. Maybe the milk's different, I'm not sure. But I'm actually going to do just a little bit more. I'm just doing a little extra to make sure it's thick. So I've got it whisked in. And I'm going to double check the temperature and make sure the temperature is still, we want it below, at 107 or below to put our starter in. If it's higher, it can kill the starter. So now it's in the 90s, it's 96. So that's okay. That's going to allow that starter to, the thickener, the gelatin to dissolve. That's our main purpose of warming this up like this. So then the next thing I'm going to do is we have some variety on, some options on starter. I am just using, this is what I usually use. It does have dairy in it, so if you are wanting to be strictly dairy-free, there are vegan options. This is a vegan starter. You can order it from Cultures for Health. That's a great fermenting company. They also have it on Amazon. And then the Cultures for Health also have just a straight yogurt starter that you can use for the dairy yogurt too. So I'm going to put it back in the Instapot and make sure that all the gelatin is dissolved, and you can tell it just looks smooth in there. It just looks like coconut milk again. And then I'm going to open that starter and just gently sprinkle it in so that it's not too clumpy. I'm just going to sprinkle it right on top and whisk as I go. Just sprinkling that in. Just want to get that nice and incorporated. Try to do it gently. Get all that in there. One of those packets will do a quart of milk. So I have tried to double this with using this type of milk, and I don't know why, but it doesn't work. So this will make a little bit over 2 pints of coconut milk. Coconut yogurt. So I have it whisked in. Now I'm going to show you the Instapot here, and I'm going to go back to my yogurt button. I'm going to push yogurt, and then I'm going to push adjust until it goes to 24 hours. 24 hours just means it will ferment for 24 hours, but that's the way to get the most of the sugar out of it and make it even more beneficial for your gut. Now, there are some differences in Instapots. Like if 8 hours is enough, but 24 hours is even better. It makes it more tart and more tangy, and it gets as much sugar out as possible. You can start with 8 and see how you do and add time to that. But 24 hours is a great goal to get to have a really fermented yogurt. So all I've done is whisk that. It's on 24. It beeped, and now the numbers are at 0, and it's going to count up to 24. So I'm going to put the lid on. There's no need for it to be sealing. Some Instapots come with a glass lid, kind of like an old crock pot lid, and you can put that lid on top. There's no sealing here. You don't have to put it on sealing or anything. All that lid is doing is keeping your temperature of your yogurt at 107 degrees. Check on your Instapot. Sometimes they say that some Instapots are different, that if you ferment it for 8 hours, that it stays at 107 degrees, but if you go for 24 hours, that temperature lowers to 88 degrees. We want to keep it at 107 degrees. So if your Instapot does lower after 8 hours, you can just restart it every 8 hours, put it back on 8 hours, hit clear, hit yogurt, adjust to 8, and then it'll start over again, and you can do that for a few rounds to get more fermenting time. So now it's just going to sit on the counter, and it will count up from 0 to 8 or 24, and then it'll beep, and then it's ready. When it's ready, I just give it a nice whisk, and sometimes it kind of separates for whatever reason. I just give it a nice whisk, the whole thing, whisk it all together, and then I just pour it into jars. I like to store it in pint-sized jars. No reason, just I typically do. I'm out of pint-sized jars, so you can put it all in a quart jar. I just write on the lid coconut yogurt and tomorrow's date and put it in the refrigerator. And then in about 8 to 12, for sure 24 hours, it'll be thickened. The longer it sits in the refrigerator, the longer or the more it thickens. So that's how simple coconut yogurt is. Some housekeeping, I guess. The coconut yogurt, or the coconut milk that I use, I just get this at Costco, and it's just coconut milk. And then I do ounce-wise, 2 of those cans plus this little can of coconut cream adds up to a quart, maybe just a little bit more. You could also do 2 cans of coconut cream instead of milk. It'll be thicker that way too. Best quality that you can get of coconut milk, the minimal amount of ingredients. It should be coconut, coconut and sometimes water, and this has organic guar gum. So we want to try to keep it as minimally and minimal on the ingredients as possible. And then your starter, you have some options. Like I said, this I get on Amazon, or I order direct from the company, and that is listed in the recipe that I will post. And then this is from Cultures for Health, which is, once again, great fermenting company. There's a vegan and a regular. There's no big difference. Another option that you do have is saving a little bit of your your yogurt from this batch. Like sometimes I'll put just a couple tablespoons in another small jar and keep it separate. And then it's good for about 5 days. And then use that as your starter. And then you can save on your starters here. You can use that as your starter for a few more rounds. It weakens as you use it. So I usually, the second batch, I will make some, keep some a little bit in a jar and use that as my starter next time. And then the next batch I will start with new. But it cuts down on your cost a little bit that way too. And then some good quality maple syrup. I find this at Costco, and it's 1/4 of a cup of maple syrup that you whisk in. Then a good quality gelatin if you would like it thicker. You don't have to use gelatin. Some reasons for eating yogurt: it's a probiotic, and the coconut yogurt is dairy free. It's super easy to make. The Instapot makes it really easy. If you don't have an Instapot, there are other ways to make yogurt, so don't feel like you can't do it. If you have a dehydrator, you can warm the yogurt up on the stove just like I did in the Instapot until you get to about 107 degrees. Turn it off, take it off, whisk all the ingredients in, and then put it in jars and put it in your dehydrator. I have a big dehydrator that has racks that you can pull out, and you can fit your jars in there, and then you can ferment it in there and set it on 107 degrees and ferment it in your dehydrator. If you have a yogurt maker, you can make your yogurt in there. There's lots of options. I even have a friend that uses a cooler with hot water, and you can make yogurt that way. It's just finding that device or that thing that is going to keep your yogurt at 107 degrees for the length of time that you want to ferment it. That's it. So she uses hot water in a cooler and just makes sure that temperature maintains 107 degrees, and it works. That's how she does it. Let's see. And the homemade is so much better than the store-bought. When you buy store-bought, just check it out sometime. Look at the ingredients. There's a bunch of stuff in there. We don't need the extra sugar. We don't need the extra flavors, all that stuff. You can do that after you get your yogurt out when you make it. And it's good for your gut. It's good for your microbiome. It is food for your bacteria, good food for your bacteria in your gut. That's what that probiotic means. So anyway, I think that's everything. So if you have any questions, let me know. I hope you'll try it. It's super easy. If you don't have an Instapot and you want to figure out another way to do it, let me know. I'm happy to help you with that. And I just would love to hear if you've made it or if you're going to try it and what you think. So anyway, have a great day. See you next time.